Okay, everyone, this is time for me to count down my top 10 films of 2021. This is something I look forward to every year. I love looking back every January on the previous year of films and coming up with a top 10 list. I will say this year was very difficult to come up with a top 10 list. And it's a great reason why. It's because there were so many amazing films in 2021. What I did for the year 2021 is I actually created a list of every film that I saw and really enjoyed and thought would be a good contender for the list. And I ended the year of 2021 with over 50 films on that list. So it was really tough to take those 50 films and pretty much take out 40 of them and come up with the top 10. But all the films have a really special place in my heart. And I'm really excited to go over this list with you. Before I start the list, I do have some honorable mentions. No, I'm not going to mention all 50 films that I liked or really liked this year. What I'm going to do is just some films that I really, really love and highly recommend that you all see that just didn't quite make the list. These films include New Order, Annette, The Killing of Two Lovers, Encanto, Zola, Green Knight, Malignant, Blue Bayou, Dune, House of Gucci, T-Tane, Being the Ricardos, and Red Rocket. These are all really amazing films. They didn't quite make it in the top 10, but these films are all very special. They're very well done films, and I highly recommend you see them. Now, a disclaimer before I start my top 10 is just to let you all know these may not be, in your opinions, the best films of the year. Not all the films you see on here are going to show up at the Oscars, and that's okay. I'm not necessarily saying these films are a lot better than other films that were made this year. I'm just saying that in my eyes, these are my favorite films of the year. These are films that I loved, my personal top 10 films of the year that I really enjoyed and will always really hold a special place in my heart. Films that just really spoke to me. These are my top 10 favorites. And I'm really excited to go over those. So, kicking off the list here with number 10. Number 10 this year is The French Dispatch. I really enjoyed this film. I was a big fan of Wes Anderson's previous film, Isle of Dogs, and I feel like this was a really great film here. It really incorporated the animated look of a film of Wes Anderson's films, but with real actors in it. Something I really loved about some of his previous films is just the overall look of it. This film still achieves that look while mixing in real live actors and really telling an interesting story. In fact, there's three interesting stories in this film, but they interweave together so well. Some people critiqued this film for feeling like three short films, for feeling like it was three short films, but for me, I really enjoyed it. I felt there were really good ties between the films, and all together, I felt like The French Dispatch was a really well done movie. Number 9 on my list this previous year, 2021, was King Richard. I really loved King Richard. This is a film that just was really uplifting. I left this film crying, but with tears of joy. It is a beautiful film. It has an amazing story, and it is a bit long of a film. It runs over 2 hours, but something that I thought was really cool is that this film felt like maybe 30 or 40 minutes in the theater. The time flew by. It's so entertaining. It's so riveting. The performance by Will Smith is probably one of his career best performances, or definitely one of his career best. I'd say it's probably in the top 3 performances Will Smith has ever done. The screenplay is phenomenal. Everything about this film, I really loved it. I thought it was an excellent, excellent film, and I highly recommend you see King Richard. Number 8 is Disney Pixar's Luca. This is a film that came out over the summer, and I was a little disappointed I didn't get to see it on the big screen because they changed it to a Disney Plus exclusive release. But nevertheless, Luca is a gorgeous film. The animation is top notch. I would probably say it is Pixar's best film to date visually. Um, the film is beautiful to look at. Both the under the water ocean elements or sea elements, as well as the elements on land. Disney has proven themselves time and time again to be um, masters at the work of animation, and this film is just showing that justice. Number 7 is Spencer. This is a film that had a really big impact on me. It is a bit slow, is a reason why some critics didn't quite enjoy it as much, but overall, my experience with the film afterwards made an impact on me. I think the cinematography for this film is gorgeous. I think that Kristen Stewart, my bad, did an amazing job as Princess Diana. And I feel like visually, this is one of the best of 2021. Um, the cinematography, the different locations they filmed at, the everything about it visually was amazing. The score was great, and it really had a good emotional punch, or multiple emotional punches. But they happen at just the right time. And at the end of the film, you feel like you've just been through an experience. It feels more like an experience than just a film. And that's why I loved Spencer. Number 6 is a film I just saw recently. The interesting thing is that I saw the trailer for this months ago at a theater, and I said, "Wow, that looks amazing." But then it never played near me. I didn't get a chance to see it, and then I watched Chris Stuckman's top 10 films of the year list, and this was his number one film of the year. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about that movie. I need to see it." So I watched it, and it is incredible. The thing that makes this film really unique and powerful is that I would say about 80 to 90% of it takes place in one room. It's a very dialogue heavy film, and it comes across like a stage play. Not everyone's going to be a fan of this film. If you're not a fan of films that are very dialogue heavy, you won't like it. If you like films that are dialogue heavy and have a really strong emotion to it, films that make a huge impact and make social statements about the world, then Mass is a film for you. This film really hit me emotionally. It's a very powerful film. It has very strong statement on our society. I loved Mass. I thought it was an amazing film. Highly recommend that everyone see Mass. Um, like I said, if you don't like films that have a lot of dialogue, it may not be the best film for you, but I kind of still do recommend you see it and give it a chance because previous dialogue heavy films I've seen, I didn't really like, but this film I felt handled the dialogue heaviness very well, and it blended the mix of silence and dialogue heavy very efficiently, and I feel like Mass is definitely one of the best films of the year. Number 5 is Cruella. This is a film that I don't know if it's going to see as much attention when it comes to Oscars and awards. And that's because critic reviews were a little bit mixed on this. But I loved Cruella. I saw it multiple times in the theater. I think that Emma Stone as well as Emma Thompson did amazing. Two of the best performances of the year. The story was very entertaining, very riveting. I was never bored during this movie. I loved the music. I would argue that the soundtrack for Cruella is probably the best soundtrack of the year, as compared to other films. It's one of the best soundtracks of all time, I would even argue. I have been listening to the soundtrack on repeat since it came out. I really loved the vibe of Cruella, the movie. I really liked the screenplay. I thought that the cinematography was really good. I loved the costume design. I loved a lot about Cruella. It is a film I've seen multiple times since it came out, including multiple times in the theater, and I will watch it many more times. It is the best live action film that Disney has ever made, in my opinion, and you need to see Cruella if you haven't. Um, I can't wait to see what Disney does next with this whole Disney villain live action ideas they've been doing. This is definitely the best of what they've done so far compared to Maleficent, but I'm really excited to see what they do next because this was a really great entry into their Disney villain universe. Now we're getting down to number 4. And number 4 this year for me is Don't Look Up. This is a really well done political satire comedy film. All the performances in this movie are great. I really loved how they mixed these certain emotions and certain statements. They had a lot of comedy in the film, but there was also this really sad, depressing element to the film. It managed to balance these two really well, and as a viewer, it gave me a lot of mixed emotions. There's not many films that can make you laugh at one moment and feel um, really emotional and upset the next, but Don't Look Up does a really great job with that. Some of the best performances of the year, definitely one of the best screenplays of the year. Don't Look Up, I definitely recommend checking out. And then now we're getting into the top 3. Now, the top 3 films, I had to mix around quite a bit when I was working on my list because these 3 films are all really amazing. And it took a bit to get them into the order of 3, 2, and number 1, but I think I've finally decided on it. So let's go down to the top 3 films of 2021. Number 3 is 9 Days. This is a film that I don't think many people saw. I feel like if more people saw this film, it would be getting a lot more award recognition, a lot more recognition in general from audiences, because the people who did see this film, it seems like both audiences and critics really loved it for those that saw it. The performance in here, the performances in here are really good. Um, just in general, like all the films this year had some really good performances. It's hard to rank them from like best to worst because a lot of them were really good. There were some films that this year that didn't have really good performances, but as far as the top 10 films, there weren't really any films in this top 10 list that I would say weren't amazing performances. 9 Days, of course, had an amazing performance, just like all these other films. But something else that made 9 Days stand apart was its message. The film hit me a lot emotionally, especially towards the end. I loved the last, I believe it was like 5 to 10 minutes of the film. That's where the film really struck me. The last 10 minutes of the film really draws together the rest of the film and completes it. The first part of the film I really loved, but once I got to the last 10 minutes, that's when it solidified that this is one of the best films of the year. So check out this film, stick with it from the beginning all the way to the end. It comes full circle to create a really powerful film. I really loved 9 Days. Number 2 is Tick, Tick, Boom. This is Lin-Manuel Miranda's directorial debut. For those of you who know me well, I'm a huge fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda. I love Hamilton. I also really loved In the Heights. But Tick, Tick, Boom really takes the cake for best musical of the year. I did enjoy In the Heights, but Tick, Tick, Boom is on another level, in my opinion, as far as adapting a musical to the big screen. Tick Tick Boom manages to have these elements of stage musical, but in film format. Every time I see a musical film, there's always something a little bit off. It doesn't give me the vibes of being in a live theater seeing it. But Tick Tick Boom managed to do that for me. It feels like a stage play. You can tell that the director of this film knows what makes a musical a musical, what makes a stage musical a musical. And Lin-Manuel Miranda has made this film, and I would say it's revolutionary. This is the first musical that I've seen, or film musical that I've seen that masters the musical adaptation on screen. The choreography is great. Andrew Garfield's performance is incredible. If I did have to pick a performance for Best Actor, I would give it to Andrew Garfield probably, for Best Actor of the Year. Um, and the music is great. It's very catchy. The thing that I just love about this film, really, all in all, is just that it manages to take a stage musical and adapt it really well to the screen. I really love Tick Tick Boom. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda completely blew me away with this film. And I can't wait to see what other films Lin-Manuel Miranda does in the future. I think they should let him or have him start directing more musical film adaptations, because he did a really great job with this movie. And now it's time for number one, my number one favorite movie of the year. And yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. My favorite film of 2021 is Coda. Coda is phenomenal. And yes, the top three films, I did mix them around a bit, but Coda has had a special place in my heart since I've seen the film for the first time in the theater. I'm a huge Sundance fan. I am a huge fan of independent cinema, and this film is everything I want in a film. It's everything I want from a drama film. It's flawless, in my opinion. Coda has an amazing screenplay. It has an amazing message. It has amazing performances. The cinematography for this film is really beautiful, and it has a really powerful message. It hit me emotionally, and I highly, highly recommend Coda. I think everyone needs to see Coda. See it as soon as you can. Support this film. I believe it's going to be nominated for Best Picture this year at the Oscars. I know it has for the Golden Globes, but it definitely needs to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. And in my opinion, it is the best picture of 2021. I loved it. It was my favorite, and that's that. So those are my top 10 films. A lot of great films this year, and coming up with the top 10 was pretty difficult, but that's just because there were really great films this year. But the top 10 films on my list, I would say, are very well deserving of their spots here. And yeah, I'm really excited for 2022. But other than that, thank you for watching my video. Make sure you watch all these incredible films, go support them, and we'll do this again next year.